I've got a banger video for you all today. So I'm sure you've all seen live on the news, Congress are talking about transparency for UFOs. So apparently there's been an object spotted up in space, okay? And now Congress are talking about UFO sightings all over the world. Now this is their plan. This is the final deception. This is the final card they're going to play. And I want you to stick through to the end of this video because I have two videos back to back together that you may not have seen before, which shows you the direction we're heading in. The reason they're live talking on the news now or in Congress is because they're feeding the public every couple of months. We had it not long ago in Congress as well, a couple of years ago. Okay? They're feeding the public bit by bit to keep you thinking about aliens. Over the years, they keep giving you bit by bit. They keep going live on the news in Congress about transparency with UAPs, UFOs. They're going to keep feeding you bit by bit. But in this video that I've put together for you today, it will open your eyes wide open so that you will not be deceived with the coming deception. The final deception, the final card that the government, the elite and the kings of the earth are going to use against humanity to enforce the beast system and the mark of the beast. The final card they're going to play is going to be the UFO, alien, extraterrestrial, fake invasion. Okay? And through that, they're going to get their New World Order beast system. As you will see in this video, it's coming right out of the United States of America. And as Jesus told us, the beast will rise from the sea. Okay? They're already lying to the public about loads of things. One of them, the moon landing, that was faked. It was false. Okay? They named it after Apollo, the Greek god Apollo. Okay? And secondly, they're saying they're going to go to Mars. The Bible doesn't mention Mars. So there's clearly lies going on. And then we could even go into the argument of whether we can even get through the firmament. Because we know in Genesis, the creation of God's world, and we know he separated the waters above from below. There's waters above. There's a firmament. These rockets are not going through the firmament. They're not in space, yet they're talking about weapons of weapons in space. They're putting space stations up there with weapons to protect the Earth from an alien invasion. Let me tell you now what I think they're doing. They want the world to think they're being invaded by aliens because when the second coming of Jesus comes, the world will want to fight with the kings and the armies of the earth against Jesus. Because when he comes back, they're going to think that he's an alien. They're going to think they're aliens coming through the sky when it's actually God. So this is all part of the great deception. Stick with the video to the end and you will see. So here is two articles that you will see in the news, and then I'm going to read you some scripture from the Bible, and then we're going to play the two videos, and it will open your eyes to the final great deception. So here's a news article. There's loads of them. Do your own research, find your own. The truth is out there. Congress to hold hearings on UFOs. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna said the public demands maximum transparency from the government concerning UAPs. Now you will see later on in the video how the government have already mentioned UAPs and they've admitted that they do exist. Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, they have all admitted to extraterrestrials being out there, some kind of other life form. So they're going to use this as a great deception. We know what they are from the book of Revelation, as you will see in a minute. BBC News. It's coming right for us. Witness tells Congress of UFO sighting. Politicians in the US are hearing from people who say they've witnessed UFOs. But notice what they're saying to Congress. They're saying it's coming right for us. Do you see how this is going to deceive people? When the second coming of Jesus happens, what are all the unbelievers on the earth going to think? They're going to think that he's an alien invading them. Because Jesus is going to be invading the earth. He's going to be destroying the wicked with his wrath. So they're going to think that it's an alien invasion, that he is an alien. Now, we've been warned, we know what they are. So in Revelation 16, 13, 14, 16, and this is during the sixth bowl, okay? So this is in the tribulation, the second half, and this is the sixth bowl. And I saw 3 evil spirits that looked like frogs leap from the mouths of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. They are demonic spirits who work miracles and go out to all the rulers of the world to gather them for battle against the Lord on that great judgment day of God the Almighty. And the demonic spirits gathered all the rulers and their armies to a place with the Hebrew name Armageddon. Now, in this video, in a minute, you will see all of the world leaders, well, especially the presidents in the past of the United States, speaking about it. They are the rulers of the world. Now, they know that these 3 evil spirits exist. Okay? They come out of the mouth of the beast, the false prophet, and the dragon, out of their mouths. Some people say that these people are wearing masks. Some people say they're shape-shifting into reptilians. Maybe it's because these 3 evil spirits are jumping in and out of the presidents. Who knows? But that's what the Bible's saying here. It's saying that the 3 evil spirits like frogs. What does he mean, like frogs? Does he mean alien extraterrestrials? I think so. I think that's what he means. So one leaps out of the mouth of the dragon, which is Satan. One leaps out of the mouth of the beast, which is the Antichrist, which I think is Donald Trump. I have done a video on my channel explaining why I think that Donald Trump could be the man of sin, the Antichrist. And he will be given 10 kings, which are the 10 horns on the lion's head, on Trump's head. So one comes out of Satan, one comes out of the Antichrist, and one comes out of the other beast, the false prophet, who I think is Elon Musk. I think they have entities inside them. And in the 6th bowl, they're going to jump out of their mouths. They're going to leap out of their mouths. So whoever's left on the earth during that time are probably going to see these evil spirits. And it's going to deceive them even more. Because they don't believe in Jesus, but they're going to believe in an alien invasion. And if they see these evil spirits, that's just going to confirm it for them. They're going to think they were right. Okay? So the deception's begun. The Bible calls these aliens demonic spirits, and they're working with the kings of the earth to gather the armies together for Armageddon to battle against God. So what the rulers will tell you is the second coming of Jesus is an alien invasion. Or some people keep talking about this rapture. Now, if they are right about a rapture, yes, then they could also use this as a deception for those who have not been took in the rapture. They could say that the people who went in the rapture were abducted by aliens, and the ones that are left are going to think they're being invaded. So it will further their cause if that was to happen. I don't know about the rapture, but that's another possibility that people are talking about. Here's another picture. So Revelation 16:13, alien, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs. They're like frogs, but they're not frogs. So I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. So they're like frogs. It's talking about aliens, guys. It's talking about extraterrestrials. They're demonic spirits, according to Revelation. And they are working with the kings of the earth. So it's no wonder that the kings of the earth would push this through Congress. And it's not just going through Congress, it's going through Pentagon, it's going through NASA, it's going through Area 51, and so on and so on. So the kings of the earth, the government, clearly know what's going on. And as we're told in the book of Revelation, they are working with the evil demonic spirits, which are your aliens. And there's 3 of them, apparently. They're going to work with the government to deceive the world into the beast system, which is a surveillance state, digital beast system. Here is a post here. If you don't understand this, then you'll be greatly deceived during the Antichrist reign. A powerful delusion is coming for those who love not the truth, which is written in 2 Thessalonians 2:9-12. In 95 AD, the Apostle John wrote Revelation. He mentioned that these frog-looking beings are in fact demons. He also mentioned that they perform signs, and in the last days they will be team with world leaders to battle against God. Now down at the bottom you'll see the white page, you will see that that is a sketch drawing that Satanist Aleister Crowley, he is an occultist, a Satanist. He sketched this image of what he called the Lamb entity. And as you can see here, it's a demon, but it's what we now know today as aliens. So as you can see, they're demonic spirits mentioned by John in the book of Revelation. Now also might I mention that old serpent, the devil, the dragon that deceives the whole world, is also on the NASA logo. You can see a split serpent tongue, which is the serpent tongue of the snake, which is Satan. NASA also means, in Hebrew, to deceive. Yes, NASA means in Hebrew to deceive. So I would argue that anything to do with this space or science or extraterrestrials or planets or whatever it is they're telling you is very likely that they are deceiving you, and they've been lying to the whole world since the beginning. We are heading into the New World Order beast system, and now the deception is coming on the earth. NASA has the serpent Satan on the logo, and NASA actually means in Hebrew to deceive. Now, before I play these videos for you, I'm going to read 2 Thessalonians 2:7-15. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned, who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. But we are bound to give thanks always to God for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth, whereunto he called you by our gospel to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which ye have been taught, whether by word or our epistle. Now, this Bible verse is clearly warning the world that those who did not believe in the gospel are going to be deceived by signs and lying wonders. They're going to be deceived by the alien deception, by the government, by the leaders of the world, by the media, by the news. They are going to be deceived because they've refused to believe the truth, and the deception's going to fall over their eyes. And they're going to end up in the beast system and ultimately take the mark of the beast. That's what's going to happen. And why is it going to happen to them? because they did not believe in the truth, and they had their pleasure in unrighteousness. The righteous live by faith. So the unrighteousness that they are doing is not believing in the gospel. Because they did not believe in Jesus or the gospel, they're going to be given over to the great deception and ultimately end up in hell.
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Werner von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late. In 1977, I was at a meeting in Fairchild Industries in a conference room called the War Room. This is 1977. And they were talking about creating a war in the Gulf region when there was $25 billion in the space-based weapons program that yet had not been identified. It wasn't called the Strategic Defense Initiative, at least, until 1983. This weapons system then had obviously been going on for some time that I didn't know anything about. So I stood up in this meeting in 1977 and it said, I'd like to know why we're talking about space-based weapons against these enemies. I'd like to know more about this. Would somebody tell me what this is about? Nobody answered. They went on with this meeting as though I hadn't said anything.
Dr. Carol Rosin is one of over 450 witnesses who have come forward with inside information that they were told to shut up about. That first clip was from the Disclosure Project Witness Testimony series on Google Video. Listen to what she says, because I believe it could be very important. Here's what she said at the Press Club in Washington in 2001.
Good morning. My name is Carol Rosin. In 1974, after being a sixth grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Werner von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space. And I said, teachers don't stop until June. He said, no, you have to understand, this is February. And we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies, he said, against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system. The first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids. And then he would repeat to me over and over, and the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat. Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear in the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapon system, and they're all lies. This is a system, he told me, that would never protect anyone. Even back then, he talked about suitcase bombs. He talked about chemical, viral, bacterial, biological warfare that these space-based weapons would never protect us against. And then he told me that, in fact, if you travel around the world, which I did after he died in 1977, I met with people in over 100 countries who were friends. They didn't want to build space-based weapons. I became a space and missile defense consultant. And I worked with people around the world. I became an advisor to the People's Republic of China. They don't want to build a space-based weapon system. And he told me back then that they didn't. He said, go to Russia. They're considered to be the enemy. I got on a plane by myself. When I got to Russia, I had a list of people that I had read out of the newspaper. Chernenko was in office then. He was the only one I didn't get a chance to meet. They introduced me to everyone when I got there. And when I got back, I said, oh my Lord, this man is telling the truth. There is no threat. And I've been waiting until this day for 27 years, and I'm expecting the spin to happen, because he also explained to me that as a military strategist, as a person who worked on the MX missile, which I did later, he said, you will find that there is going to be a spin to find some enemy against whom we have to build space-based weapons. And now we should expect the spin, because he said part of the formula for the intelligence community is if they might have a weapon, then we have to consider that they do have these weapons. So now they do have these weapons, so now we have to build these weapon systems. And that's the formula, except that it's all based on a lie. And we have witnesses here today that have shown you that these extraterrestrial beings, that these craft that have come here are now not UFOs, they're identified flying objects, and we know that they have beings in them. And we have witnesses here who have told you that they can shut down our missile silos, they can stop a rocket going into space that's a test. We have witnesses here who have worked in the classified departments, who have the courage to come forward here to support what Wernher von Braun told me back in 1974 to 77. And I will testify before the Congress that when I founded the Institute for Security and Cooperation in Outer Space, which I shut down a few years ago because I didn't believe we had a chance with this huge integrated around the world complex weapon system, that we had any chance at all of transforming that war industry into a space industry that could provide benefits, like Dr. Greer has said, of global warming. We can end that situation of that problem. We can end the energy crisis. We can build now non-polluting technologies. Wernher von Braun used to tell me that we could have cars back then that drove around off the ground. He described this to me on beams so that we have no pollution on this planet. And we can solve the problems of the people that are urgent and potential, and the other animals and the other cultures on Earth and in space. And we can end the arms race without dislocating the industry jobs, without disrupting the economy, by transforming, Wernher von Braun told me, the war industry into a global cooperative space industry that will provide, he said, finally, more jobs and profits on this planet than during any hot or cold wartime, more products and services that can be applied directly to solving the problems of this planet. And we can have a whole planet now that lives in peace on Earth, with all the cultures on Earth and with all the extraterrestrial cultures in space. And these are words that Wernher von Braun told me in 1974. and I will testify before the Congress under oath about everything I have said and more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Note the part about first it will be the Russians, then it will be the terrorists, then it will be, the final card will be the faked alien invasion. This is what she said back in 2001, before 9/11 happened. And those of you who have been keeping up with 9/11 and the truth movement and information that has come out about the attacks know that the so-called war on terror is a complete lie, and we were never after Osama bin Laden, and that's all being exposed now, just like the fake WMDs were exposed in Iraq. Most people are too propagandized that they are unwilling to believe this and won't even look into the evidence. The rest don't care because they don't think it concerns them or because they feel powerless to do anything about it, and I tend to agree with them. The criminals who caused 9/11, who had the connections to all the inside security at the World Trade Centers and the cooperation of the intelligence community in the White House, will never be prosecuted for their crimes. They got away with it. And even if by some miracle we did open up a congressional investigation, prosecute those responsible for 9/11 and put them all in prison, it would be like putting a Band-Aid on a cancer. 9/11 was only a symptom, and we need to treat the disease. Because once the war on terror fails to give the government a reason to funnel billions of taxpayer dollars to corporate interests, they will simply find another excuse. Here we have insiders warning us that aliens will be used as the next excuse. This is why I have been warning people about the 2012 stuff, and to be very skeptical about it if and when first contact happens. Don't believe it right away. I know you want to. The people in charge are using all this money to build an Orwellian-style police state. This is the type of future that they feel most comfortable with, because they have always been in power, and now that they are beginning to lose their power, they are very, very scared. They don't want the kind of future that you and I want. They want everything to stay the same or go back to the way it was, and that's not going to happen. The world is changing very quickly, and it's all up to us what kind of world it will change into. Here's a few interesting organizations that are doing various things to accelerate the future and progress. Nassim Harriman also has a YouTube channel now, so you might want to check that out. But the real change and the real future progress is going to come from you. So please do your part by helping to spread this information. Because the first battlefield in this war exists in the hearts and the minds of the people.
To help our nation in this hour of need, it's up to 151 countries. So when we say our nation and the world, when you think of it, 151 countries. Somebody said to me today that wasn't in this particular world, they didn't know that we had that many countries. 151 countries, that's something. Somebody said to me today that wasn't in this particular world, they didn't know that we had that many countries. That wasn't in this particular world.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Why choose this as our goal?
Everybody at NASA, the engineers were like, no, we aren't. We have no technology to do anything near that. But here the president just put that marker out there.
We're going to Mars. We're stopping at the moon. The moon is actually a launching pad. That's why we're stopping at the moon. I said, hey, we've already done the moon. That's not so exciting. They said, no, sir, it's a launching pad for Mars. So we'll be doing the moon, but we'll really be doing Mars.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
It's really being done as a launch for Mars. Is that correct?
That's right. We're building a habitat in orbit around the moon, a space station in orbit around the moon, and that will be launching in 2022. And once that is deployed, that will be modified into a Mars ship that will take us all the way to Mars. And between now and then, we want to build a sustainable architecture at the moon. We need to learn how to live and work on another world for long periods of time. And then we go to Mars, because when you go to Mars, Earth and Mars, we're only aligned on the same side of the sun once every 24 months or 26 months. What that means is we have to be willing to stay.
Right.
We need to learn how to live and work on another world.
I see. Yeah, right.
So that's what the moon is all about.
That's going to be very interesting. Well, it's very exciting. Exciting times. And
is an historic moment. We have in this past year made great progress in ending the long era of conflict and Cold War. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
President Obama says that there is footage and records of objects in the skies, these unidentified aerial phenomenon, and he says we don't know exactly what they are. What do you think that it is?
I would ask him again. Thank you. Outside of that, you've done a hell of a job.
Just trying to keep up
It just brought you back to Earth a little bit.
We were definitely brought back to Earth.
And I think that's pretty obvious to everybody. It's all about space. The next warfighting domain.
Okay, well,
interview the other day in which you said you've been briefed on unidentified flying objects. Are they real?
Well, I don't want to really get into it too much, but personally, I tend to doubt it. I mean, you have people that swear by it, right? And pilots have come in and they said, and these are pilots that are not pilots that are into that particular world, but we have had people saying that they've seen things. I'm not a believer, but, I guess anything's possible.
It's led to the inquiry which heard hundreds of unexplained encounters. A government report last year acknowledged that between 2004 and 2021, there were 144 unexplained sightings. Since then, the number's grown to 400.
Wherever they have the files about Area 51 and the UFOs, and I go through everything to find out what happened. Right. Did you do that?
The aliens won't let it happen. You reveal all their secrets. They exercise strict control over us.
Did you go through the secret files, the UFO documents? Because if I was president, that'd be the first thing I did.
But I'm not telling you.
You're not telling me. You're not telling me what? Are you not telling me that you looked at them?
I'm not telling you nothing.
Are there really great secrets that you know that you can't share with people?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
UFOs. You've been the president. You've seen all the info. Are they real?
There are things flying around up there that we haven't fully identified yet. I mean, you can't even get your mind around the sheer number of things that are out there.
But you've seen this.
And
you've seen the data.
Well, no one knows, but I think that the probability is that there's something you would call life somewhere else.
first time in more than 50 years, Congress held a public hearing on UFOs today, and they focused on military encounters with these unidentified flying objects. Southern California plays a central role in the UFO phenomenon.
Today on Capitol Hill, Pentagon officials testified for the first time in half a century about the possibility that we are not alone in the universe. Two members of the Pentagon's new task force investigating unidentified aerial phenomena shared newly declassified video of strange objects flying near U.S. fighter jets.
Is this one of the phenomena that we can't explain?
I do not have an explanation for what this specific object is.
The defense officials told lawmakers they're analyzing about 400 reports of UFOs from military personnel. They say the Pentagon has not recovered any wreckage that leads them to believe the crafts were built or piloted by aliens, but they're still concerned.
Because UAPs pose potential flight safety and general security risk, we are committed to a focused effort to determine their origins.
But then as time has gone on and these videos have come out that have shown these crafts and shown them with the Tic Tac craft that was off of San Diego that was blocking their tracking devices, and then went from 60,000 feet to zero feet above sea level in less than a second. They have no idea what the fuck it is. They have no idea what it's doing. And the guys down there in San Diego who are in the military were saying, we're seeing them all the time. We see them every couple weeks. They don't know what they are. They think they're docking with something under the water sometimes.
The U.S. government has physical evidence of some sort of vehicle made not on this earth. Is it what it sounds like?
Well, it sounds that way to me, Tucker. I just, I never want to speculate what the government truly has, but I would say there's stuff out there. I mean, the four of us that chased the Tic Tac in 2004 have attested to it multiple times that what we saw exceeded anything that we had in our inventory, far superior to the airplanes that we were flying in at the time they were brand new. So,
I mean, if there are super intelligent aliens out there, they're probably already observing us. Imagine you're very confident that we were going to be visited by super intelligent aliens in, let's say, 10 years or 20 years at the most. Super intelligent.
So you think within 20 years we'll have alien in Earth?
Well, digital superintelligence will be like an alien.
It will be like an alien.
Yeah. Maybe they're among us. I don't know.
That there is life beyond us. I've said it on the show. I believe in Area 51. I believe that Trump knows about Area 51. I think it has pictures of aliens. I think he would be very interested in that. And I think he knows about that. I really do. And I think it's real, and I'm willing to get on.
So last question. Before you leave office, will you let us know if there's aliens? Because I want to know what's going on. Would you ever open up Roswell and let us know what's really going on there?
So many people ask me that question. There are millions and millions of people that want to go there, that want to see it. I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting.
So you're saying you may declassify? Oh. You'll take it?
Well, I'll have to think about that one, right? As you know, China, Russia, perhaps others started off a lot sooner than us. We should have started this a long time ago, but we've made up for it in spades. We have developed some of the most incredible weapons anyone's ever seen.
The entire world seems to be in the grip of a demonic, otherworldly power, which is sucking mankind down into oblivion with demonic depravity, secret societies, black robes. All of the occultism of the world is now in your face. Most people have no idea of the severity and the perimeters of how big this thing really is. It's in banking, it's in religion, government. It is a cancer that's eating up the body politics of the earth, period. So it is, I believe, a war between the good and evil, between the darkness and light, between God and the devil.
I just want to end by saying that we're all in this together, all of us. I have never seen anything like it. The unity, the esprit de corps, the spirit, I've never seen anything like it. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Unfortunately, the enemy is death. It's death. A lot of people are dying. That's what we have, is we have the American dream. And nobody's going to shatter the American dream. Not the anarchists, not the agitators, not the fools, not the looters. They're not going to have any impact on the national dream like no other.
Our fellowship and thee for a space. I spit upon your fire.
I actually want to ask about UFOs. Several media reports this week disclosed that. Sorry.
I was going to say, I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. I feel like I already want to pass on this question, given that you've got aliens sitting among you.
Just moments ago, President Trump tweeted that White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders will be stepping down.
We're reading more and more reports of Navy pilots seeing lots and lots of UFOs.
They do say, I mean, I've seen and I've read and I've heard, and I did have one very brief meeting on it, but people are saying they're seeing UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particularly.
President Trump once again saying he supports that controversial doctor. That doctor has said in the past that demons and witches have caused illnesses.
Even after learning she claims demons and witches cause illnesses.
One final way that's new and is promising is called the RNA vaccine. With RNA and DNA, instead of putting that shape in, you put instructions in the code to make that shape.
She's also made videos saying that doctors make medicine using DNA from aliens and that they're trying to create a vaccine.
I thought she was very impressive. I thought her voice was an important voice, but I know nothing about her.
No, the president is now promoting a doctor whose viral video has been very popular suddenly among QAnon conspiracy theorists and COVID deniers. She's a doctor from Houston who also believes that women can be physically impregnated by witches in their dreams.
It's what we call astral sex. That means this person is not really a demon or Nephilim. It's just a human being that's a witch. And they astral project and sleep with people.
Americans must never lose sight of this miraculous story. We should never lose sight of it. Nobody has ever done it like we have done it. So today, under the authority vested in me as President of the United States, I am announcing the creation of a new monument to the giants of our past, to the giants of our past, the giants of our past.
So we are dealing with a time in which the giants walk the earth, but not only giants, all kinds of hybrid entities.
See, this is where Jesus is absolutely going to blow the lid on these guys. For he said there's nothing that's been hidden that won't be made known. There's nothing that's been concealed.
Today, we will set history and history's records straight. Before these figures were immortalized in stone, they were American giants in full flesh and blood, gallant men whose intrepid deeds unleashed the greatest leap of human advancement the world has ever known. Today we thank God for the gift of life and for the blessing of liberty. We honor the legends of our history, the glories of our founding fathers, and the giants of the past, the heroes of today, who keep us safe, who keep us strong and proud, and who keep us free.
The history that the Illuminists, the globalists, the Satanists, those who control the history, they do not want any reference back to the God of the Old Testament, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. They don't want to even acknowledge he exists.
As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on.
And it's fair to assume that it's already been deciphered and they're going by the playbook. So the fallen angels obviously knew that their day would come again on the earth to be released.
What must you do to be saved? Well, I just read to you in Thessalonians about a great deception coming on those who refuse to believe the truth, which is the gospel. Because they didn't believe in the gospel, they're going to be deceived by the great deception that's coming. But there is still time for them to hear the words of truth and be saved. If you have not believed the gospel, here is your chance. The gospel of your salvation is written in 1 Corinthians 15:3-4. For I delivered unto you first of all the which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the scriptures. Believe and receive eternal life. If you believe the gospel, you will receive your seal unto the day of redemption, and you will not be deceived by the coming deception. But for those of you who have not believed in the gospel yet, I would encourage you to do it quickly, because we do not have long left. God bless. Thank you for watching.